Hey everyone, welcome back. It's episode 11 of Horns Up, your weekly heavy metal conversation. I am your host, Dan Kaplan, coming to you as always from Brooklyn, New York. Doing it solo this week. My co-host, Corey Butterworth, unfortunately is indisposed at the moment. I don't know where he is at the moment. He might be swimming in some pig's blood from Watain. He might be making another trip back to Nurgle's urethra, but at any rate, he was unavailable tonight. I am doing it solo. I've never really done this solo before, so we will see how it goes. I'm going to be a little bit of improvising here, but hey, what's been going on in our neck of the woods? Well, we've had a return of Stage Dive and Throwback Thursday on a consistent basis on the Horns Up blog. That's always good. We have some big World Cup news to discuss, not just World Cup of Metal, but World Cup soccer as well. I will get into that a little bit later. But first, let's get into some headlines. Let's not waste any time here. Our first item on the headlines for this week, we have tour announcements galore. Tours. Starting right off the bat, let's break out the big guns. We have King Diamond. The mighty King Diamond, frontman of Merciful Fate and of his own solo band, coming back for his first U.S. tour in 11 years. Now, this announcement comes after much speculation. There was news that he was playing the Fun Fest, a couple of one-off gigs announced in New York and I believe Milwaukee. Nope, sorry, check that. That was Houston. But now we have a full tour announcement. There's no opener announced yet, but we do know he is doing a full U.S. tour. Personally here, he's coming to New York on October 14th. He's going to be at the Best Buy Theater. Frankly, I could not be more excited. Looking forward to that with great anticipation. Next up, we have a tour announcement from Slayer, Suicidal Tendencies, and Exodus. I wish I could be excited about this, but Slayer, I mean, are they and Exodus ever going to not tour together anymore now that Gary Holt's the new Jeff Hanneman? I mean, this isn't even really Slayer anymore, folks. This is Tom, Carey, and pals. I mean, I know Paul Bostap's been in the band for a long time, but it's not Slayer. Let's just get that thought right out of our heads. I really don't know when they're going to be coming to New York, and I don't really care. I'm not going to be seeing it. It's a shame because I kind of would like to still see Suicidal Tendencies at some point. I've heard they put on a pretty fun show, but yeah, I really can't support this, whatever concoction it is that's calling itself Slayer anymore. More news. We have a tour announcement just breaking tonight from Judas Priest, doing a full tour for their Redeemer of Souls album, which is coming out in a couple of weeks. And they're going around, they're doing some arenas with none other than Steel Panther. Steel Panther, the hair metal, the hair metal legends that have, just come onto the scene in the last few years and taken it by storm. I know Corey and I are both big fans of their album, All You Can Eat, which came out earlier this year. So it's going to be interesting. We're used to seeing them in club gigs, and now they're going to be playing arenas, opening for Priest. I haven't heard anything other than a few singles from the new Priest album, Redeemer of Souls. I like the title track, was not nuts about some of the others. Really, for this show, I don't know if I could care less about seeing Judas Priest, but I'm kind of half tempted to go see it for Steel Panther. I just saw them the day after Memorial Day, right after getting back from Maryland Death Fest here at Irving Plaza, and they just blew my fucking mind. It was an incredible show. So I might be tempted to go see him at Barclays just for Steel Panther, and, maybe I'll tag along for Judas Priest as well. At any rate, as I alluded to just now, that is coming to Barclays Center in Brooklyn on October 9th, but a full tour announcement. I believe they're also playing the Izod Center at the Meadowlands. Some shows at Atlantic City. It's a full tour. Check out the Judas Priest website for details. Another one, number 4 out of 5 major tour announcements we have. This is kind of going to be the weirdest tour lineup I think I've ever seen. We have Machine Head, Children of Bodom, Epica, and Battlecross playing together. I enjoy all of these bands, but who the hell decided that they should be touring together? I mean, we're looking at four completely different styles here. Actually, the fun thing about this is that there's no official announcement yet. They have had a couple of one-off dates listed in Worcester, Massachusetts, and Milwaukee, but so far, none of the four camps has made an official announcement. Don't really know, but we have to assume that a full tour is coming, however weird a combination this is. Will I go see it? Probably. Love Machine Head. Like Children of Bodom. Could put up with Children of Bodom. Epica? Sure. Decent music. Simone Simons is amazing to look at, and Battlecross is fun too. So yeah, we'll give that a shot if and when it becomes a full tour, and if and when they announce some New York City dates. Why not? And finally, one that I'm really excited about. Our UK sludge doom heroes, Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, have announced their first proper US tour for this fall. The announcement comes on the heels of their really just stellar Maryland Death Fest performance. I know it was one of our favorites at MDF. This thing starts in late September. They're hitting the Bowery Ballroom here in New York City. I got my tickets pretty much. So this is going to be a show that I'm very much looking forward to. They just really wowed me at Maryland Death Fest, and I think they're going to be a lot of fun to see again. So check that. Again, it's Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, their first proper U.S. tour. Boom. Next up on our headlines, we are finally through our tour announcements, all 5 of them. Next up on the headlines, we have some interesting news from Bruce Dickinson, frontman for the mighty Iron Maiden, the air raid siren himself, as he's known. For whatever reason, he just decided he wanted to take a shot at punk rock. During an interview at the Sonosphere Festival, a question of punk rock came up, and Bruce Dickinson launched into a mini tirade. He said, quote, "The closest the art establishment ever came to embracing metal was punk. The reason they embraced punk was because it was rubbish, and the reason they embraced rubbish was because they could control it. They could say, oh yeah, we're punks, so we can sneer at everybody. We can't play our fucking instruments, but that means we can make out this whole thing is some enormous performance art. Half the kids that were in punk bands were laughing at the art establishment going, what a fucking bunch of tosspots. Thanks very much. Give us the money and we'll fuck off and stick it up our nose and shag birds. But what they'd really love to be doing is being in a heavy metal band surrounded by porn stars." Again, I don't really know why he felt the need to go off like this. The funny thing is that he was being interviewed by Frank Turner. Frank Turner, who is a folk punk performer, has roots in straight up punk. So I'm sure that wasn't awkward at all. But there's that. Bruce Dickinson, apparently no fan of punk rock. Moving on from that, we have bunch of shitty news from I Hate God. You hate to hear about this, folks. Recently, I think earlier this week, the band's tour van was broken into during their show in St. Louis while they were on stage. The guitarist lost thousands of dollars worth of personal belongings. We're talking his iPad, his computer bag, his earnings from the tour, you name it. Really shitty. I know their booking agent, Zach Oler, also lost a whole bunch of stuff. This, of course, comes not too long after the band was completely stiffed by a concert promoter in Savannah, Georgia. Dude apparently left their show without paying them or any of the other bands on the bill. Now, after this was pretty widely reported and he was outed as a colossal douchebag, the promoter did, in fact, come through and make good with the bands. His excuse was, quote, a panic attack, which I call bullshit on, but whatever. He came through, he paid the bands. I don't know if they'll ever be working with him again, but that's on him. At any rate, really shitty week for I Hate God. No, the band has set up a PayPal account to collect donations to replace the stolen goods. Again, this is through their booking agent, Zach Oler. You can donate to Agnostic Zach, Agnostic ZAC at gmail.com. Make sure you put EHG, the letters EHG, in the subject of your donation message. And again, please donate if you like these guys. They have lost thousands of dollars worth of personal goods, and anything you can do to help them out will, I'm sure, go a long way. Finally, for headlines, we have news from a band called Conquering Dystopia, who you may not know right off the top of the bat, but this is a new project from Jeff Loomis, former Nevermore guitarist, as well as a couple of guys from Cannibal Corpse, The Faceless. It's a super group of sorts. And I have to talk about this story because it's really a strange one. And you'll see why in just a sec. The band put out their self-titled album recently. It's available on their website, conqueringdystopia.com. It's also on iTunes, but so far it has not been made available on CD. Why do you think that is? Well, the band took to Facebook to explain the situation. They said, quote, "We wish we could release the album on CD, but we can't. Not because we don't want to. We just want to be able to do it on our own terms. We were more or less forbidden by a record label that one of the members of the band is on, parentheses, unless, of course, we release it under that label. It's even more complicated than that because there's more than one record label involved, but we'll spare you the details." That sucks. I mean, let me rephrase that. That sucks in 1999. Does anyone really buy CDs anymore? I mean, we're not in the 20th century, folks. I mean, you can get your digital copies and you don't have to store them in your apartment. You can just have them on your hard drive and you access it whenever. CDs, people are really complaining about bands not being able to put their music out on CD. Really? Is this a thing? Come on. It's 2014. Come on. Again, give it a listen. It's Conquering Dystopia. The album is also called Conquering Dystopia, and you can get it online and on iTunes. That will wrap up the headlines section. Let's move into some new releases. I don't have any concerts this week, unfortunately, but we will hopefully be getting some more coming up. New releases. Leading the charge, we have to say, is going to be Mastodon's new album, Once More Around the Sun. It's their sixth album, their first since 2011's The Hunter. And I enjoyed this thing. I think it'll, with time, it'll grow on me even more, the way The Hunter, the way Crack the Sky did. These are not, Mastodon is a band that, is immediately gratifying to an extent, but also really, really rewarding upon repeat listening. And this does not change that at all. Really liked Once More Around the Sun. Loved the fact, I'm going to nerd out here for a second, loved the fact that there's a song called Tread Lightly that kicks off the album. I'm a big Breaking Bad fan, and if anyone watched the final season of Breaking Bad, that was the closing message of one of the most intense scenes we've ever seen, a confrontation when Hank realizes he knows what's up with Walter. Anyway, I'm digressing here. There are some really good songs here. I like Motherlode. I like High Road. The title track the title track kind of reminds me of Rush, just melodically. It's their proggiest track on the album, I think. And it's just really cool. Sonically and compositionally, it's really similar to The Hunter. It's unmistakably a metal album, but still a very accessible release. There's a song called Feast Your Eyes that reminds me of Blasteroid, which is probably my favorite track from The Hunter. And I love it for that. I mean, you could say, oh, they're doing the same thing over and over again, but I love Blasteroid and I love Feast Your Eyes because it kind of reminds me of Blasteroid. So boom. The other single they released, Chimes at Midnight. I liked it at first. I liked it when I saw it live. In the context of the album, I'm not appreciating it as much. Something's not sitting right for me. But again, you have some other songs, some other good ones called like Aunt Lisa. Closes really strong with two tracks, Halloween and Diamond in the Witch House. Again, this is just a really terrific album. Pick it up. It came out earlier this week. Once More Around the Sun, sixth album from Mastodon. Don't miss out. Next up, we have a new album from Septic Flesh called Titan. This is their ninth album. Again, these guys are from Athens, symphonic death metal quartet. I was reading up on this. Somehow the band has been around since 1990. I had no idea of this. This is completely shocking to me. Again, I saw these guys open for Devin Townsend and Children of Bodom a couple of years ago, right when I first moved down to New York, and I thought they were a new band. I was just like, oh yeah, sure. These guys are, I'll have to keep tabs on these guys, but evidently people have been keeping tabs on them for some time. Again, symphonic death metal. It's a good album. Will it stick with me? I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know. it for me, it just kind of falls victim to the same problem a lot you see with a lot of other symphonic or symphonic influenced albums, in that it's too much of a cool thing. The grandiosity of it is just ultimately, it just wears me down in the end. There are definitely some cool moments. I like Order of Dracul, which you may recall from our World Cup of Metal playlists. The song Prometheus is really good, but overall, I didn't find this thing particularly memorable. You might like it if symphonic metal is more your thing, then I'm sure you'll appreciate it. For me, just didn't really dig it too much. Again, the album is Titan. The band is Septic Flesh, and that is out now. Next up, we have a new one from Incantation, the New York, now Pennsylvania death metal legends. It's called Dirges of Elysium. It's their 9th studio album, and it's pretty much everything you want from an Incantation record. It is relatively straightaway death metal with the occasional slow, doomy passage thrown in. Really great riffage from John McEntee, the driving force behind the band. The production, I would say, is not overly intrusive. It's just polished enough to be listenable, but raw enough to grate on you a little bit, and I mean that in a good way. You got 10 songs in 49 minutes. It's for the most part, they're short, simple, and to the point. However, there are a couple that stick out and seem kind of oddly long. We have a song called From a Glaciate Womb that comes in at 7.5 minutes. Again, most of these are like 3.5, 4. And then the closer, Elysium, Eternity is Nigh, is 16.5 minutes. Yeah, 16.5 minutes. More than 4 times longer than your average track on this album. I just really don't understand why. I mean, this is a prime situation for any potential flaws in the album to kind of rear their ugly head. And they do. I mean, they do kind of start to stick out. It's like, okay, guys, like, checking your watch here. When is this thing going to be over? Aside from that, though, the album, aside from closing the album with this like overly bloated song, I think they've done pretty well here. I did enjoy it. Thought it was a great listen overall. Again, it is called Dirges of Elysium, and it is out now on Listenable Records. Check it out. We close our new releases segment this week with a new album from Tankard, the German beer thrash metal band. I say beer thrash because literally every song is about alcohol of some sort, and most of them are about beer. This album is called RIB, Rest in Beer. If you think you know what you're getting into here, you're probably right. It's more of the same from Tankard. Lots of songs about beer. Whether it's Rest in Beer, the title track, Breakfast of Champions, The Party Ain't Over Until We Say So. It's, lyrically, it's nothing you wouldn't expect from Tankard at this point. They've been around for almost more than 30 years now. However, the riffage is still great. I like it. It's a good old school thrash sound. Really catchy at times. I mean, is it going to break any ground? No, of course not. They've been doing the same thing for years. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun in the same way that like a Suicidal Tendencies record is fun. It's just like kind of stupid, but you enjoy it. It's catchy, and it does what it does very well. It doesn't take itself very seriously. It's just fun. So that is Tankard. The album is Rest in Beer, and it is out now on, I believe. Yes, it is out now on Nuclear Blast Records. So check that out. It's a fun listen. That'll wrap up our new releases, folks. Geez, we are blazing a trail here. We are only 19 minutes in. Anyway, let's move on to some old albums. Done with our new albums, back into the old. We will move into the retrospective segment now. And my choice this week was inspired by a podcast I listened to from the NPR team. It's Pop Culture Happy Hour. They discussed this album briefly on their podcast last week, and I couldn't not bring this up. I enjoyed this thing too much. And when they brought it up, it prompted me to go back and listen to it a whole bunch. I'm talking about Andrew WK's I Get Wet. Now, sonically, I don't know that you'd call this thing metal. Really, it's more like Bruce Springsteen on steroids, but fuck it. It's my podcast. I'm going to talk about it. This thing came out in 2001. It's now 12 years old, which is really, really weird. And frankly, I almost sold this CD at one point, if I'm being honest. I took it. I was about to take it to a used record store. Remember when those were still a thing? Yeah. I was about to take it to a used record store, but ended up, before I went, I had something like 25 CDs I was going to sell that day and listened to them all the night before. It took me some time. Listened to them all the night before just to be damn sure that I really wanted to get rid of these things. And this was one that ultimately benefited from me listening to it straight through, because I realized, wow, holy shit, this is a fucking amazing album. Thank God I didn't get rid of it. It represents the absolute commitment to a particular aesthetic. Andrew WK wanted to make a catchy, fratty sounding, hard rocking album about partying, and God damn it, he did it. This is just, I like this for the same reason I like a band like Steel Panther. It just represents a complete immersion in a particular motif, and he just owns it. Everything is just amazingly catchy here. There's just something so infectious about stuff like It's Time to Party, Party Hard, She Is Beautiful. These songs will never not be awesome. It's an album that I, could listen to straight through 6 years ago, and I can listen to straight through now. And I really am kicking myself for missing his run of shows when he played the whole thing in its entirety. Hope he does one of those again soon, because this is just a phenomenal album. It is Andrew WK, I Get Wet. It's a banger. I don't care if you want to call it not metal, do what you want. I enjoy it. So that is my retrospective for the week. Moving into our final segment, we have, as you know, Horns Up and Horns Down. This is where we talk about things I liked in the previous week and things I didn't like. And now, the moment I've been waiting for. For my Horns Up, we're going to talk about the U.S. men's national team. We're going to talk some soccer here, because for the second World Cup running, the U.S. soccer team is going through the knockout stages. That's right. They lost to Germany yesterday in their final group stage game, but we advanced from the group thanks to a tiebreaker with Portugal. This is huge. It's the first time the U.S. national team has ever advanced beyond the group stage in consecutive World Cups. We had a troubling pattern for a while where we would just alter really good World Cup, really shitty World Cup. 90, we didn't get out of the group stage. 94, we did. 98, we were dead last in the group stages. 2002, we got to the quarterfinals. 06, didn't make it out. 2010, we won our group. Now, 2014, continue the trend. We're out again with a team comprised largely of MLS players. This is huge. This speaks volumes for the league. Ratings have just been through the roof on these guys. You hope this can translate to a boost for MLS. I know I certainly do. And yeah, we are through. We're going to play Belgium on Tuesday, the Group H champions. I won't pretend it's going to be an easy match for us, but hey, you know what? We got out of the so-called group of death that nobody thought we would make it out from. Anything is possible at this point. There are rumors that we might have Josie Altidore back from his hamstring injury, so that would be a huge boost. And we'll have to see. Cristiano Ronaldo, thank you for beating Ghana for us. We really, really, truly appreciate it. Again, lots of other interesting stuff going on. The U.S. was just one of 3 teams to make it out of the group stage from the CONCACAF qualifying region. Again, this is the North and Central American qualifying region, which is often kind of brushed aside as, an inferior region. But hey, 3 teams out of 4 in the round of 16. I think the only confederation that has a better percentage than that is South America, which had 5 of 6. So yeah. Big steps forward. Costa Rica won their group. Mexico made it out of their group with Brazil. It's a big step forward. I'm going to be watching all of these games with great interest. So check that out. If you haven't been watching the World Cup, what the fuck are you doing? You're really missing out here, folks. ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, they've just been doing a bang up job with their coverage. And again, the U.S. plays on Tuesday. I know I will be trying to get out of work a little bit early. Tuesday at 4:00 is kickoff. So make your plans. It's going to be a fun one. And for my horns down, I don't want to say it's a horns down. I don't hate it per se, but it's just something that's been annoying me recently. My horns down is going to be the requisite change up of routines at the gym when you're working out. They say you should do this once every 7 or 8 weeks to shock your system, really just continue allowing your muscles to make gains and to enhance and grow. And it's a good thing. I mean, I've definitely seen significant gains having done this on a more or less regular schedule every 8 weeks. But I won't pretend that it doesn't completely suck for a couple of days after you make the change. I just recently made a change. I was going from a lifting routine that was basically consisted of one exercise per muscle group per day. To now I'm doing set muscle group days, like a chest day, a back day, et cetera, instead of one chest exercise and one back exercise and one leg exercise every day of the week. I'm now doing 4 or 5 chest exercises one day a week, 4 or 5 back exercises another day a week, 4 or 5 leg exercises another day a week. And the body's taken some time to get used to that. It's I couldn't really bend my arms for the first after the first bicep day. My back, I sleep on my back. And after I got back into that routine, it was uncomfortable to say the least. I had to do the side thing. I had to sleep on my stomach because my back was really feeling it. I realized that this is a necessary evil. Again, I don't really hate this per se, but I needed a horns down, and this is the closest thing to discomfort I could find this week. And really, after the euphoria that is the U.S. getting out of the group of death at the World Cup, advancing to the knockout stages, anything I do hate is going to be muted because really I'm just too happy this week. So that's that. That's my horns down. Changing up routines at the gym. Again, not really a big deal because USA. Check that. Tuesday, 4:00 versus Belgium. Better be watching. That will wrap it up. I know you're used to longer episodes. You're used to more banter from Corey and I, but when there is no Corey, there is no banter, only Zool. A reminder that any content I mentioned in this episode will be made available on the Horns Up blog with The Dump, which will be out later today. Also, you can check back on our Facebook page, facebook.com/hornsuppodcast, Twitter @hornsuppodcast. Make sure you check it out. We'll have a lot of other content. We'll have our Sunday Side Splitter starting a new series on Monday. We are replacing Subgenre of the Week with a new regular segment, so you won't want to miss that. Again, that is hornsupmetalshow.com, the Horns Up blog. Check it out. Thank you again for listening. As always, really appreciate the time that you spend with us here. For myself and nobody else, I am Dan Kaplan. This has been episode 11 of Horns Up. Thank you, as always, for stopping by. And remember, live, love, plow, horns up. We'll see you next week.